Greetings and salutations, my fellow swamp-dwelling reptiles and amphibians. It is I, Eric J. Chucky, joined, as always, by a second Eric J. Chucky.
If I could do a good impression of you, voice-wise, this would be the time. This would be the time.
I'm kidding. It's the boy.
Hello.
This is the Two Nerds podcast, and today we're talking about Loki. Very different from a couple of weeks ago when we talked about Loki, among other Marvel villains. Before we get into that, and I feel like I keep forgetting something every time I do this spiel. So let me try to make sure it's all in order. Maybe I should write notes. What the fuck ever. First things first. I have books you could buy in the description of this video, this exact video. Follow them links. Buy them books. The most recent one, the 5th one, came out just last year, and it's a great jumping on point for the series. I have a Patreon. You could give me some money. If you gave me some money,
You'd be cool.
yeah, and you'd be cool. We'd
Like
shout out
Rob.
your name like Rob, yeah. Also, it would help me to make more content. I have a lot of ideas for what I want to do for this channel, but not a
Yeah.
lot of incentive.
Yeah.
Also, if you could hit that like button and comment, the combination makes friends with the algorithm.
An algorithm son. He is an inscrutable man, but he likes comments and likes together. I
would
know that
appreciate
much.
Lastly, I stream on Twitch. Twitch.tv slash Minister Whitey? White Raven? I don't remember.
It's White Raven.
White Raven, thank you. I think that's everything.
I don't know, man. I zone out when you do your spiel.
Okay.
I don't, but that's so mean sounding. So, we are here to talk about the latest in a long line of Marvel Disney Plus shows. A long 3-point line. Loki. I gotta tell y'all, I was worried. First couple episodes didn't really grab me, and the end of the second one, so I decided to wait. I decided to wait until it was all out and I could watch it all at once, because I just felt like I'd enjoy it more that way.
I also waited, but just because I was doing other shit.
I made the mistake of watching Captain America and the Winter Soldier, week by week, and I feel like that impacted my enjoyment of the series. So I decided to let Loki rest after the first 2 episodes and give it the best shot. I am so fucking happy I did that.
There's a lot to talk about here, and there's a lot I don't want to dance around. So,
We're going to do the old spoiler-free review?
Now, I believe when this podcast is coming out, it's going to be very far in the future from today, the time of recording, which is the day that the last episode of Loki came out. That is July 14th, 2021.
Yeah, we decided not to sleep on this one.
So, in terms of at least recording it, y'all will be getting it when you get it. There's a lot of shit going on. So I'm sure you've had plenty of time to watch the series. You probably don't have to worry about spoilers. But, for the sake of being cool.
And on the off chance that you maybe had decided to not necessarily watch this one and wanted to hear about our opinion first, which makes you just a sweet, delicious cinnamon roll, too pure for this world. I don't understand you. I wouldn't want my opinion on something before I watched it. That you do baffles me.
I don't know, that might be a powerful tool. Do I like this? No. Oh, cool. Now I don't have to waste time.
It fits in thematically with the series.
Yeah, spoiler-free review. Here it is real quick. Good.
Yeah, spoiler-free review. The beginning is a little, I won't say slow, but if you're turned exactly the right way, it might be not, it might make you nervous. Trust. It's real good.
I think that's the problem. There seem to be 3 things that can inhibit someone's enjoyment, well, 4, of a piece of media.
Okay.
I think that is, the combination of hype backlash and or the genuine reaction being stolen or having it. somebody building a series up for you.
Too much.
Or a movie, too much, and you're like, well, this isn't that good. Or getting spoilers for something, and going, well, this isn't that great. Or the opposite, Sometimes I've had the opposite of hype backlash where, people are like, it's all right. And I watch it and I'm like, this is amazing. What were you talking about? There is the armchair booking. So, like, watching stuff week to week can be difficult because you can either book yourself into, invent the storyline of this and expect things that were never going to happen.
Yeah, speculate either positively, too positively, imagining a storyline that is to your exact taste so specifically that it would never actually get made, or, which is the second thing, which is what I do, because I am a pessimist at heart, just catastrophize about how many ways they could fuck something up.
And your environment, of course, when you watch the show or movie or whatever. I had a rough time with the first Ant-Man film. It was a bad theater experience. I still liked it, but as a for instance, I could also talk about my time with Paranormal Activity 2, or that one Star Wars movie. These stories may be on the channel. Go just click on.
We've done so many goddamn podcasts. I don't remember.
I think we're coming up to the point soon where you could watch a podcast every day for a year. If we haven't already crossed that threshold.
You know what? It might not be great for our metrics, but if you heard that and that sounded like a good idea, please don't. Please don't.
I mean, maybe go backward, and then when they start getting stop, because they don't get better. I forgot what the fourth pillar was. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. That was buying for time, so we could definitely talk about Loki while the few of you out there who haven't already seen it fumbled for your stop button after hitting the like button and commenting, I can't wait to come watch this podcast after I've finished Loki, the series on Disney+.
So...
I killed him.
I want to talk about the show, though.
Yeah.
So I live again. I survive. It's what I do. There is too much. Let me sum up. This is really good.
This is my favorite MCU series so far. I know there's only 3 of them, but I really liked WandaVision.
I really liked WandaVision, and I liked Captain America and the Winter Soldier. I think I would have benefited from watching it all at once.
Yeah.
But even after taking that into account, I like it a lot. Boy, howdy, is this my favorite by a country mile. This is great!
It continues the trend that I keep saying when we watch these series. It feels like comic books. These are kind of wild, out there stories that we used to tell more.
In comics, at least.
In fucking media. There was a time when there were a bunch of shows like Doctor Who. I mean, you had fucking Quantum Leap, and you had, The Greatest American Hero, which we watched the opening of the first episode recently, and wow! A lot occurs.
The first 5 minutes of The Greatest American Hero are a fucking trip, but that's not what we're here about.
No, it's not. This is the kind of Star Trek, for that matter. This is the kind of content we used to get a lot on TV, and you just don't see it much in the same way anymore.
This is really good speculative fiction.
It is.
In addition to being good comic book fiction.
Yeah.
It is just generally good speculative fiction. And, because you could have separated almost everything from the TVA, almost all the TVA stuff, from the MCU entirely. And it would have made a good movie.
Yeah.
Just that concept would have made a good movie. And they had almost all this other stuff to play around with.
May I say also that I really like that they drew from more recent comics with the TVA. I'd never heard of it before because I don't have the money to keep up on comics every week, and I try not to do what I want because I am free too much. Free will. So I'd never heard of it before, and I was trying to carefully, and I managed to do it without getting any spoilers, because, they always do something different with it anyway, but I found out that the TVA is a thing in comics, and has been for a couple of years now, Mobius as well, But it's newer. It's fresher. And that's really fun for me.
After one of the big, crossovers where the universe goes wacky, the Time Variance Authority pops up to stop that from happening anymore.
Yeah, and there's stories there. And this is a great story about such an institution. And it does it without being too cute, which is a problem I have with Doctor Who. And it does it without being too grim, which it easily could have done.
That was one of the things that I was worried about is, all right, so with storytelling like this, where you've introduced an element of the fundamental inflexibility of the fourth dimension, determinism, Calvinism, into your story, it's really easy to turn me off entirely. It is deep into the fucking metaphysics shit to explain why, but I do not like it.
I would agree. I've always been a bigger fan of Hobbesism.
I'm not gonna rise to that bait. I'm not gonna rise to that bait because you don't know that what you said makes sense, and I'm upset about it.
Ignorance is power. Which is something else I could say for this show, because there's a lot of stuff, if you guys are watching our top 5 podcasts that we're doing this year, and if you're not, fucking please go do it.
It's probably some of our better content, dude.
Yeah, it's pretty decent. We have a lot of fun with it. If you like fun podcasts, they're good to go through. And you could argue with us in the comments. That's fun. I talk a lot about how I'm a big Marvel fan, but I'm mostly, growing up, I was an X-Men fan. Most of my exposure to the Avengers and the Fantastic Four and stuff has come after the age of 28.
It was me. I did it.
Well, and video games and broader stuff. Now that we have more avenues to tell these stories, I'm getting more into them. Here it is. This is the threshold.
This is the spoiler. This is the spoiler for this series. If you do not want the spoiler, go away. You have been warned.
Motherfucker, I didn't know who Kang was. I mean, I did.
Except in context of Az and Kodos.
No. I mean, I knew who Kang the Conqueror was in a vague sense. He's a Marvel villain, I think. Wait, maybe DC? No, Marvel. It was about the summary in my head. He's got a blue face. I think he wears green and purple.
Whereas if you've been listening to this podcast, you may, for a long time, I don't mention it amazingly often, you may be aware that I really like the Fantastic Four, and I like Avengers storylines.
I've never heard that you were a fan of the Fantastic Four. That's phenomenal.
Yeah. And so, when I saw the Citadel, I was like, no, okay, no, it's fine. It's probably it's a really good image. It's not exactly the same. And then he opened the little elevator open, and he's in there, and it has the cut. I'm doing a motion. You can't. This isn't a visual medium. It has the silhouette, and it's purple. And I go, no. And then he mentions that he's been called the Conqueror, and I literally, I didn't scream it because I was watching, but internally, the point, Chandler, I knew it. I was there. I'm so happy. I'm going to try very hard not to Guardians of the Galaxy this podcast, but I was so scared that they were going to fuck this up, and they, beyond my wildest dreams, stuck this landing.
I mean, we both had the same theory/concern that it was Loki's all the way down, as you put it.
Yeah, that was the only result that could have been, so pat that I would have been upset if it was just another Loki in the top.
You mean they were all me the whole time?
Well, Owen Wilson shows up. He's just another Loki. He's wearing the horns, the big stupid ones that the old guy was wearing.
You kidding me? This is classic us.
And Tom Hiddleston goes, you're right. It is.
This was a good one. I had a good time. So, when are we taking over? I don't know, everything. We already have. What do you think this is? TVA is just Loki in ancient Galactan.
But
that would have been terrible.
No, that would have been awful. But they didn't. They went so good. They introduced the next Thanos on a TV show way before the big crossover movie where people are going to be fighting him. He's the villain for Quantumania, which they had announced a while ago. And how did I not see this coming? How did I not see this coming at all?
That's actually...
At all until they started proper teasing it. I didn't see this coming at the fuck all. How?
Well, for me personally, I don't think about stuff. I don't tend to watch trailers. I try just to, take it at face value because I don't want that thing I talked about earlier where I plan something.
Book yourself into something better.
Or book myself into something worse and then trudge through it. Like, I don't like how I watched The Mandalorian, second season, where I was expecting the worst from everyone's waifu and the things that followed. I don't want to have that experience when I'm watching a show. So I just don't think.
Whereas because I constantly catastrophize about how bad things could be, my brain kind of has to think of ways that they might do it good. It's okay, bud. Keep hope alive. Keep watching. But no, it didn't occur to me at all. And it was such a fucking glorious surprise. I was grinning like an idiot.
And what a performance.
Oh, amazing performance. I want to say I want his performance in Ant-Man and the coming movies to be different than his performance here. I love his performance here, but I want that version of him to be markedly crazier than other versions of him, to really sell that he was an ancient eons-old being, essentially just wearing Kang's skin at this point.
Yeah. Well, and it says here on Wikipedia, one of the showrunners wanted to leave a lot of meat on the bone in terms of how evil he could be. So we've got some stuff coming.
Yeah, because the other versions of him, the other variants of him, are dickheads. This was the nice one, and the nice one was an omniscient, omnipotent time fascist. That's the nice one.
It reminds me of a character, like a final conclusion that could have happened, of a character I played in a D&D game once. Honestly, the entire last episode reminded me of some smaller scale D&D games. Just arguing with God and stuff like that.
You know what, though? That's actually a good bridge into something else I wanted to mention. I mentioned this to you while I was watching it. This show changes genres every episode.
Which is great.
Not one episode is the same genre as any other. And that is so weird to watch. Because I can't label the genres they are, but you get it when you see it.
I can do it. Episode 1, that's the Glorious Purpose is the name of it. I don't know why I was starting to say that. I guess because I read it and then my mind is made of pudding. It's quirky. That's your most Doctor Who-ish episode. You get a lot of yucks. Episode 2,
it is the funniest episode.
Kind of a thriller. It gets pretty dark.
It gets there's the cat and mouse game. It's very like flickering lights and like, what's your game? What's your game? And that's where the series is like,
Episode 3, that was an adventure, almost even a heist.
Yeah, I would say that's fair. That's a fair way of saying it.
Episode 4, I forget what happened.
That's where they're on the Doom planet.
That's where they're on the planet?
Yeah.
That's where they leave the planet. Right?
Because 3 is where they're on it, and that's... And then,
I wouldn't say like a courtroom drama, but it's like a thriller in the sense of people are talking to each other and drastic things might happen.
That's number 4 is a drama.
It's a drama. What a better word for that? Episode 5 is fucking high fantasy shit.
Yeah, that is just a post-apocalyptic fantasy movie out of fucking nowhere.
And episode 6 is the ending to Mass Effect 3. You gonna drink your blue Pepsi?
I'm gonna drink my fucking blue Pepsi. I have nothing to add. I love that episode, and you snatched its wig.
I loved it too. And I mean, we said at the time when we beat Mass Effect 3.
We like that ending. Yeah, this is a pro Mass Effect 3 ending household.
It's a fantastic science fiction ending. And
the Reapers don't turn into ice cream because that's not how that kind of sci-fi story works. And this is good speculative fiction. You're right. You're absolutely right. It's the ending to Mass Effect 3. Yeah. It is, you have an argument with God. Except, it's not the ending to Mass Effect 3, because unlike the ending to Mass Effect 3, you get to stab that little bastard in the chest.
So like, yeah, it's so good. They all feel like part of the same show, regardless.
Yeah, they all feel connected to each other, but just it feels as much like each episode is a different genre as WandaVision does.
Yes.
It's just in a different way.
Yeah, and it's so well done. This is not something you could have done in a feature film. Like, theoretically speaking...
This would have felt incredibly fucking disjointed as a feature film.
Theoretically speaking, you could have done the last two series as a feature film. You would have had to trim a lot of shit, obviously. But, like, the basic premise, you could have gotten across.
Captain America and the Winter Soldier, you could have done as a feature film.
Oh, sure.
You wouldn't have had to trim much. Much of the staring into the distance, I think, would have to go.
And some of the action and some of the quipping. And I'm glad it's a series. I don't want it to be a movie.
But, like, this would have been fucking incomprehensible.
Oh, yeah. Too much. And it's just... I'm so glad it was what it was. We're at 21 minutes, so I'd like to talk about characters if we could, unless you had something else to say about the overall plot.
You know what? No, I feel like nailing down which genre each episode was really gives it. The plot is great, but watch the fucking show. Like, and there's too much. That literally the Princess Bride joke. There is too much. I must sum up. I would crow about every single episode except two. It works going back and looking at it after the fact. It's just not my favorite. But like, yes, it's time to talk about the characters because the characters are what drive this show.
Yeah. I don't feel like I need to say much about Loki.
Well, I mean, which one? But
Tommy Boy, not president.
Yeah, Tom Hiddleston does a command performance. He does excellent work, as he's been doing with the character for many, many a moon. The experience shines through. He's just really good at playing this character. He's helped define this character on the big screen. And now on the small screen, he helped open up the definition to the character for a lot of new stuff.
Yeah. And it's all stuff that's like happened in comics too. So it's just really fun to see these options.
Yeah.
I was a big fan of Mobius. I don't think that comes as a surprise to anyone who knows me.
Wow.
I love Owen Wilson. I always have.
That's surprising to me.
I had a deal with him that I would watch every one of his movies until Marley and Me, and I was like, oh, I'm sorry, Owen.
Like, you don't go where I can't follow.
Yeah, I'm not going to watch the Dead Dog
But it's surprising to me. It's surprising that you would like Owen Wilson that much. That's a real stunner.
I just think he's a great actor. Always thought he's very underrated, and now here he is in like a serious, dramatic role where he can still cut loose and be a little bit funny. But like, this isn't the role you would have cast Owen Wilson in ever. And
not just funny, but like Mobius at certain points in this series is an excellent antagonist. He's cruel in a lot of points, especially early in the series. He's really cruel.
I mean, as far in as toward the end of episode 4, he says some mean shit.
Like, just mean shit.
But, like, with a purpose.
Yeah. Like,
he's fantastic at what he does. He always comes across as a capable professional.
And even when he has his whole world turned upside down, Mobius still comes across as a guy who gets shit done.
If I may interject back into overall plot stuff, as a person who loves Shades of Grey, this series executes it fantastically. I don't think there is a single character in this show, except maybe the evil Cloud, who
is literally an evil cloud. So give it a break.
Eliath, who I understand is a Kang villain or adversary, whatever, who comes across as pure evil or even pure good. I think Owen Wilson's character is the closest you get to pure good. Look, but he's not.
There was a reason we got to episode 4 and it was Loki's all the way down was still on the table.
Yeah, because they all are, no matter what actions they take, you as an observer can go, well, I don't know if that was the right thing to do. Or, man, I wish you were a little bit, had more faith or whatever. And then even when they do despicable things, you're like, well, I get it, though.
Yeah, because even the straight-up antagonists, like the Judge, whose name, which by the way, I did not catch that name, and I shoulda. Ravonna.
Renslayer.
Yeah, Judge Renslayer. Didn't catch that. But even she, who is probably like the cleanest antagonist in the series as it goes on, you get it. You get why she is the way she is. You understand what she's done, what she's been party to, and then just looking at herself and going, it has to be for something.
Yeah.
It can't have been pointless. I won't let it have been pointless. That works.
Oh, yeah. You see it in, what did they call him? He Who Remains. It's a horrible, galactically fascistic thing to do.
Yeah, he is a universal scale time fascist. And he genuinely believes it is the only way to prevent something worse.
And how many people would do the same?
Given basically ultimate power, would turn the universe into their sad little sandbox where you just make sure that only your version of things is the only way things are allowed to go, because to do otherwise is to invite utter annihilation. At least in his view, and given the person he is, and the fact that the nicest version of that guy probably isn't the one who won the multiverse war, it makes sense that the version who thought of that as a valid strategy would be the one who wins, and also would do that.
I like it with his backstory as a scientist as well, because it implies that pragmatism exists,
and
persists.
He even says it's not personal, it's practical.
Yeah. What a phenomenal performance, by the way.
Yeah, oh god, it's just... Jonathan Majors has just really, he's made an act that I hope he does a good job in following in his subsequent appearances.
Yeah.
Because, Lord, that was good. That's very different than the comics version of the character, in a way I really like.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these characters came from a time where, everyone was the Red Skull, basically.
Yeah.
You were Cobra Commander.
King the Conqueror is not comics is an infinite medium. He has been given a lot of character depth, but ultimately he's not a very complex character. He's a guy who was given a time machine and decided to pull heists in the 1930s. He's a guy who gets a time machine and then uses it to pull heists in the 1930s. I can't make it clearer than that. He's a shit.
He's a jerk.
He's a jerk.
So I think really the last thing we super need to touch on would be Sylvie.
Yeah, I am so pleasantly surprised by this character. In her first actual appearance in episode 2, something about the way she has like one line as herself. And something about it just really immediately turned me off. I did not like the idea of this character as Loki, that actress.
And we should say, as comic fans, if those of you out there listening, Ultimo Dragon, are a comic fan, you know that there is a Lady Loki in comics.
Yeah.
She's not like this character.
She's just Loki.
She's just this Loki, maybe a little bit more confident.
But I just I don't know. I didn't know what it was. It immediately turned me off, and then she immediately turned it around at the beginning of the next episode, because Sylvie is her own character. They do a lot of work to separate her from Loki, from being like him, while at the same time ultimately being very much like him.
Yeah. The detail I loved the most in that visual storytelling was her hair. I was really disappointed when she showed up and she was blonde. Loki has dark hair, and there's no reason the variants can't. Obviously, there was Black Loki.
One of them's an alligator.
Alligator Loki. Post-apocalyptic Loki. They're all a little different.
I like Lady Loki's visuals.
Yeah, it's good. It's from the comics. You mean? Yeah. That long coif of just black curls and the big fluffy shoulder pads and the helmet looks really good.
But Sylvie, it works on her. because it makes sense as visual storytelling.
Well, and in the second episode where she debuts, it's dark in there. So it's a lot harder to see her dark roots. And I love the idea that she has, not too long ago, cut her hair, dyed it blonde, and was like trying to escape from who she was. The same reason she adopted an alias. I'm not Loki. That's not. I never got to be Loki. It's just quality visual storytelling, and I really appreciated it. I will also say, since we have a couple of minutes, do you want to do a little Guardians of the Galaxy? A little bit? Just a little taste?
Yeah, why not?
Just a little bit. I loved the singing scene on the train. That whole episode was a real fun adventure.
It was the first time in a long time I have seen shades of the Asgardian god of mischief in Loki.
Yes.
The guy who spent 700 years adventuring with Thor, Odin's son.
I absolutely loved all of the Easter eggs in episode 5.
Oh, there were the Thanos copter and so many others, but
the Thanos copter.
But the Thanos copter.
Chris Hemsworth actually playing Throg was good.
Yeah, at Throg at all.
Sure.
Sometimes Thor's a frog. Deal with it. Comics are weird.
Old Man Loki having the fan theory of how the Loki show might be working, the big prevalent one. As his backstory?
Of, like, Loki faking his own death in the fight with Thanos and then just going to hide. And it turning out to be a really sad story about a man living probably several thousand years alone on a rock. And then the second he reaches out for human companionship, the fucking time fascists show up.
I also liked, this is a little bit less gushy, but how efficient B-15 was at showing the rest of the TVA what was up. Like, it's the exact kind of thing fans will look at later and go, why didn't they just? And she did.
Yeah, she just did it.
She was like, no, here, look. All right, you think this is fucked up? Look at this. Tell me about that.
And you know what the best part is? It's one of the little things that prove that, one, Renslayer knew, and two, is a gigantic hypocrite. Because she made visits to her life. That's how she got that pen.
Oh, I didn't pick up on that. Oh my.
Because there were members of the TVA who knew. Like the central squad, like her enforcers, clearly knew. Because when Mobius is there talking about it, none of those guys look surprised or unsure. And he's very important in the TVA hierarchy, as you can tell. So there were people in the TVA, her, followers, who knew. But none of them knew that she was breaking the rules. That she would make at least one little sojourn to her old life just to see. Because I'm above the rules. They don't matter. I won't make a difference. It's fine. I'm not going to cause a branch. I am better and more valid than all of these other variants who have been kidnapped and had their memories wiped. I deserve this. And she just takes a little memento. A little tiny sociopathic serial killer memento of her old life, like she does all of the variants she's brutally murdered.
Yeah, it didn't actually brutally murder him. Just sent him outside.
To have the space dog brutally murder them, and she didn't think that's what was happening.
Sure, 1,000%. Which I do like that it's just outside. I like that Loki, in the second episode, figures out where the TVA is without knowing he figures out where the TVA is. At the biggest apocalypse event.
Where you can't make branches.
Yeah.
It's just the apocalypse. The end.
It's fantastic because it shows off the character as being smart, cunning, and capable in a way we don't always get to see because he's the bad guy and needs to get clowned on.
And also shows off the TVA's shtick as being something that was never designed to stand up to intense scrutiny. Because Kang, one, wiped all their memories so they had no way of scrutinizing, and two, didn't care that much. Because, one of them figures out, what's the worst thing that happens? Zap.
So yeah, any other gushing you'd like to do?
Lots of it, but you go.
I know I meant more before we close the podcast.
Do we gotta? I like this show. I like talking about it. No, that's a joke. Special shout out to Kid Loki. Not a character I typically like. Great version here.
Yeah, they did a good job with him. That's true.
Other than that, no, I think we're all set. Everything's better when nerds talk about it.